So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a playlist for all of these preview prediction videos and anything involving the World Boxing Super Series. So, there are going to be, how can I put it? Okay, well, let's talk about the World Boxing Super Series first. In this video, we're going to talk about WBO champion, Cruiserweight champion Oleksandr Usyk versus Marco Huck. I'm T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy Live. I cover all boxing, as much as I possibly can watch. We also get people to boxing events, as I am the owner and creator and editor-in-chief of a website called Fight View 360. So we are considered a new media company, but we're growing. And basically, we're going to be covering the entire World Boxing Super Series, whether we have somebody at the fight or when it comes to me, I'm going to be covering every fight here on YouTube, meaning that when news comes out, I'm going to do a video. In this case, this is the initial video to talk about Usyk versus Huck, and then moving on, we're going to cover the fights after they go off. We're going to talk about everything involving the tournament. So there's two divisions for this season. There's supposed to be, if I'm correct, 3 seasons. There's 2 divisions for this season. 50 million split across those 2 divisions. 3 rounds. 8 fighters in the initial round. Let's go through the participants. In this case, for the Cruiserweight division only. Damn it, did I lose this? There we go. For the Cruiserweight division only. And then we're going to talk about Oleksandr Usyk, and then we're going to talk about Marco Huck, who I feel is going to win the fight, and who I feel is going to be the favorite in the tournament. Now, what I've been doing over the last several weeks, since the names slowly started trickling out for the tournament, I did there was a draft on 11th. And basically, I've been watching fights on all of these guys. So I've said before, with my job and with what I do, I've covered hundreds of fights on YouTube over the last several years. Hundreds. So which means I'm always watching all of these cards. So if I forget and butcher these guys' names, I've seen them fight before. Sometimes I'll have fights planned in the background when I'm doing other things. I've seen all these fighters fight before. But now we're getting familiar with them, and we're learning their fighting styles. And we're going to define who they are as a fighter and do our best by the time we get to the fight. And we're watching the fights live, that we know who these fighters are and who should win, who should be the favorite, and who has to do what, in order to get to the next round. So in this case, let me read what it is. In each weight class, this is the introduction. This is on the World Boxing Series, Super Series website. Go right down below, click the link. In each weight class, 8 elite boxers will battle out in a bracket-style elimination tournament with 4 quarterfinals, September 8th to October, 2 semifinals, January to February, and 1 final, May of 2018. The winners of the World Boxing Super Series will rightfully receive the greatest prize in boxing, the Muhammad Ali Trophy. Nice-ass trophy, but also you get a shitload of money. Now, here's how the tournament is laid out. The first round, 4 fights for each, weight division. In this case, 4 fights for the Cruiserweight division. Starting in September and October, likely 2 in September, likely 2 in October, right? The winner of those go on to the next round. The next round, not that far away. January and February of 2018. Then the finals in May of 2018. So what is that? What, about 11 months? 10 months? And you can make a whole lot of money, win the trophy, and in this case of the Cruiserweight division, be the undisputed Cruiserweight champion. But we're going to talk about all that as we get deeper into the World Boxing Series and all the fights. So let's talk about the contestants. Right here in the Cruiserweight division. This fight we're going to talk about is Oleksandr Huck, Oleksandr Usyk versus Marco Huck. Then the next fight is Miris versus Mike Perez. Third fight, Murat Gassiev versus I'm going to learn his name, Christoph Werdrzak. Fourth fight, Unier Dortitos versus, I was thinking Doritos, versus Dimitri We're going to learn his name. We're going to learn it. So, the most interesting fights in this would be if Oleksandr Usyk was to beat Marco Huck, goes on to fight Miris in that next round. In the perfect world, what people are really salivating to see in the finals is Oleksandr Usyk versus Murat Gassiev. Just like for the 168-pound division, they would love to see Chris Eubank Jr. or George Groves versus Caleb Smith in the finals. So the winner of this fight that we're going to talk about, Oleksandr Usyk versus Marco Huck, is going to move on to fight the winner of Miras Briedis, the WBC champion, versus a slam down cruiserweight Mike Perez. So it's like this. Let's go look at the fighters' resumes, right? I'm working on some things over the next couple of weeks to where I'm going to get a bigger screen and all of it's going to be active, and we're going to have like, graphics. So I'll be able to show you, the things that I'm looking at, and we can really, really go through things thoroughly. So hold on 1 minute, and we're going to go take a look at the resumes. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people feel that Marco Huck is over the hill. He's only 32 years old, but it seems as though he has slowed down some, a bit. He's 44-1 with 27 KOs, right? He's had many big fights on an international scale that a lot of American fans may not consider, big fights. For example, Steve Cunningham, Ola Ofalabi. Who else? Alexander Povetkin, right? Farad Urslan, Krzysztof Glowacki, and then Maris Briedis, where he just looked, just bad. So, in this case, a lot of people feel, well, Oleksandr Usyk with his style, for American fans, you may have seen him on HBO. He is a cruiserweight version of, he's not like Lomachenko. He's not like Lomachenko, but they are close friends, and they do fight somewhat similar if Lomachenko was a cruiserweight outside of all the showboating. Oleksandr Usyk has a very high punch value. His punch activity, his put it this way, he's 12-0. You may say only 12 fights. He's 30 years old, but he has a decorated amateur background. 10 KOs, but a lot of fans who've been watching him, and I've seen every single one of his fights. Even though they may be short, go check them out on YouTube. Even though up until, Glowacki, he hasn't fought anybody, of note. People may say, okay, well, what about Machuno? Wasn't anybody of note. Even Michael Hunter was really, really unknown, but caused some problems earlier in the fight with the movement. But Oleksandr Usyk, even though his defense can be a little bit suspect, he has a high punch value, and he's a clean puncher. But with the 10 KOs, that may be a little bit deceiving because he can beat you up off of punch value. But as far as having like clear knockout power, we really haven't seen it. So, the Marco Huck fight is basically kind of like a crossroads fight for him because he should be happy to be in this tournament, especially since his last fight was a loss. So you have to think that maybe in his head he knows, or his team should be telling him, it's like, yo, this is a must-win for you, bro. Because even though there will be big fights out there for him on an international scale, there's just not, much there. You see what I'm saying? Like for people to be like, yo, Marco Huck is going to take this whole World Boxing Super Series. You see what I'm saying? I just don't see it. So looking at, who wins and goes on to the next round, I like Miras Briedis, but I'm not sold. I don't think Oleksandr Usyk can beat him either. Just my personal opinion. And like I said, I do think Usyk is the favorite. Him or Murat Gassiev are the favorite to win the tournament. I've said this before. I'm hoping that the tournament stays intact. Because right now, if this tournament stays intact, and so far it looks like it's organized, because the first thing when it was announced, I was like, oh man, that draft is getting closer and closer and closer. Who are these fighters? And then sure enough, they got it done. All the way down to the winner of Eubank Jr. versus Arthur Abraham, which happened the day of the draft, would be in the tournament. But they got it done. So now I'm hoping that the fighters don't get injured. Nobody fails any drug tests. There's no bullshit controversy. And that's a good thing that they picked these two divisions that involve the least amount of politics. And something very good is coming out the Cruiserweight tournament, because the winner of the Cruiserweight tournament will be the undisputed champion. You see what I'm saying? Of the Cruiserweight division, if I'm correct, right? All the belts are on the line, if I'm correct. Outside of what? The Dennis Lebedev, title. But which one is that? Let me go look it up real quick. Which one is that? Is it the WBA or the IBF? No, okay, Maris Briedis, he's in a tournament. His WBC title's on the line. Junior Dirks-Tikos, his WBA belt is on the line, even though that's like the underling belt. Murat Gassiev's IBF title is on the line, and Oleksandr Usyk's WBO title is on the line. So the next season, they're supposed to have two different weight divisions. You know, but let's just hope, man, it just works out, man. And over here, for people who want to see the United States, I'm sorry, you're going to have to go through hell to watch the fights. I'm going to watch them. I got my ways. I wish there was just a way I was able to watch them, and just, like, I wish we had, like, something like Box Nation, man. I wish we just had something that even we had to pay, like, if I had to pay an additional $60+ a month just to be able to have access to all fights in the world in HD and be able to DVR, rewind, and pay for pay-per-views at the same time, but that's just me, I would. Because I be wanting to see all these fights effortlessly without having to fucking go on a fucking hunt. You know, on fight day, like, damn, how am I going to watch the Breedis Kurd Ratchishal fight? I want to see that shit. So anyway, I didn't tell you what the date of the fight was. It is going to be in Berlin, September the 9th. It's coming right up. We on it. That's next month. We on it. That's a month away. Oh, yeah. So, I'm Teacher Controversy. This is Teacher Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe.